8:24 on a Thursday morning, you're watching Breakfast Television. Well, Audrey Brashich would like you to stop making celebrities out to be the be-all and end-all. She's here to tell us how we can do that. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much.
When did you decide that young girls needed a better message?
When I got thousands and thousands and thousands of letters from them as an editor at some teen magazines that I was working at in New York, and it was pretty amazing to see that no matter where the return address was from, could have been all across North America, they all said the same things. They sent their photos in saying, I want to be famous or I want to be a model. And there was just too many.
And that disturbed you?
It did, because I couldn't believe how many people were dreaming the same dream or writing in about it and sending their photos to try to break in.
And yet, Audrey, in your book, which is called All Made Up, A Girl's Guide to Seeing Through Celebrity Hype, you yourself were one of those girls.
Oh, I had been. Absolutely. When I was a teenager, I really dreamed it, and I felt if I can just get that, everything will sort of fit into place. Like, I'll be that well-respected and liked and get those great salaries, and I wanted it myself.
So when you got the letters that you started to change, what did you decide to do about it?
What I really wanted to do was somehow talk to the girls, teens, directly, because I feel like there's a lot of great media out there for adults, and adults say, yeah, I went through that when I was a teen too, but not so many people talking directly to the girls to help them before they get too caught up.
Now, if adults have all been through that as teenagers, where do we go wrong with our children then in allowing them to make the same mistakes?
I don't know if it's so much that we're going wrong, but it's just that even if you're a parent with a voice and you're trying to talk to teens, you're just one voice, and there's just so much out there that it's pretty hard to combat it.
You go through a lot of emphasis in the book on demystifying or decoding the messages in the media. Do you think that most kids don't understand how they are sort of manipulated?
You know, there's more happening today that shows teens some of those things, like what's airbrushed or what's digitally enhanced, so there's steps towards it. But no, I don't think that lots of teens know about buzz marketing or other sort of guerrilla tactics that advertisers use, and just the coordination that can happen to make something, a product, a celebrity, hit.
Cool.
Yeah, and seem cool. It's well orchestrated.
It is well orchestrated. Well, adults know that, but kids don't. So what happens when you go to schools or when you talk to girls and you get that message out? What kind of reaction do you get?
Well, a lot of girls want to talk about it, and they want to talk about it to each other, which I find good, because they have a lot to say. They don't like feeling that there's a lot of pressure for them to live up to.
Right.
And I then end up sometimes getting a late night email from a girl sort of telling me her story about how she feels about images that she sees in the media and comparing herself, and I think that once they think about it a little bit, that's when the reaction happens.
Right. So what do you do when you get those kinds of emails? I'm sure you get lots of them.
Yeah.
Do you take the time to respond back to every single one of them? And you got to be careful, I guess, what you say.
I do. I like to respond back to them, and I either do that or direct them to resources. If they're writing to me and saying that they think they're developing an eating disorder or have some other problems, you know, I'm not trained in those in a clinical sense, so I direct them to actual organizations that can help them.
Yeah. The other thing in your book is interesting is that it's not just girls you're talking about here. You're talking about boys and how they are also really victims of the same sort of message.
Absolutely.
And you girls have to somehow understand that.
Yeah, I mean, boys are seeing the same media images that we are as women. And the thing is, you know, in some ways I feel like we have to let boys off the hook, just a little. And what I mean by that is, we have to realize this is what they see. But we also have to then try to help them if we can. That's hard. Sometimes I feel like guys don't want to hear a message from us, and they probably don't want to hear it when they're in a big group with their friends.
Right.
At that point, I certainly don't think a girl should sort of try to hammer the point home. She should, you know, walk away, but realize that if she's talked to her guy friends and said, you know, think about it, or there are lots of media images that are hard for girls and digitally enhanced, at least maybe they've planted a seed.
That's right.
For the boys to think
That's
about.
all they can hope for. Do you think this is a very big problem? Do you see this happening all over North America?
I do, and I think that, you know, celebrity hype is more intense than it's ever been, and in some ways that's the problem, that it comes to girls from so many angles.
Right.
That's kind of inescapable.
Well, they can check out your book, right? Which would be a great advice to start with. Audrey, thank you very much. For more information about Audrey's book, check out our website, citytv.com/BT Vancouver. It's 8:28. You're watching Breakfast Television.
Right.